What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, EJ Gonzalez, coming to you from Alexandria, Virginia. Now, whether you're watching us live or catching up on our YouTube or Facebook page, we thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you're all staying safe and healthy during these interesting times. And as always, I'm joined by some of my good friends who I love talking sports with. First, my neighbor in the U.S. Capitol, Ken Cruz.
Yo, what's up, guys? All-Star Weekend, ready for it. One day only, and sucks that AD's not playing, but LeBron, MVP right there.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be talking All-Star, man. We're going to be talking All-Star, so stick around. But unlike last week where I was outnumbered, we only have today one panelist from Canada. So sorry, Zarita, but your Northern Takeover plan has taken a step back tonight. But for the third week in a row, we have Adian the Canadian. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, I'll be glad to come over to the U.S. at some point once this is all cleared over, once the pandemic's done. Take me there. I don't mind.
Yeah, definitely, man. We'll gladly take you. And last but not least, let's welcome back our main man from Las Vegas. Ahmed, what's up, man?
What's up, fellas? I know it's been a long time, man. It's always a great time when I'm with you guys. I know. It's like welcome back. Every episode is a welcome back.
Pretty much the first time.
I'm always excited to be here with you guys, talk sports.
Yeah, man, it's great to be here with you guys. And again, before we go on, just want to remind our viewers that we are by no means experts, but rather a good group of friends expressing our own opinions and share the same passion of sports. Now, before we get into our discussions, let's catch you guys up on some recent sports news. Let's start off with Adian, who's got the scoop in the UFC. Adian, what's up, man?
Thanks, EJ. What an exciting time for fans of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, as there will be 5 title bouts in the month of March. That is the most championship titles up for grabs within a month ever. Headlining UFC 259 is the undefeated Israel Adesanya, aka the Last Stylebender, and Jan Blachowicz, who will be competing for the light heavyweight title. In the women's featherweight division, we have Amanda Nunes, who will be putting her title on the line against the challenger Megan Anderson. And in the men's bantamweight, we have Peter Yan, who will be defending his title for the first time against Aljamain Sterling. This is a stacked card, guys. And if Israel Adesanya can become a two-division champion, it may shoot him into mainstream celebrity status. We're all hoping for an extremely entertaining card, so don't be surprised if we see some fireworks that day. I mentioned that 5 titles would be up for grabs, and that was just one card. In UFC 260, which should take place later on this month, 2 more title belts will take place. In the featherweight division, we have Volkanovski and Brian Ortega. And in the heavyweight division, we're going to see the explosive Francis Ngannou take on, who, after it is all said and done, may be the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. That is Stipe Miocic. Again, another stacked card for the month of March. It doesn't get more exciting than this. I cannot wait. Also in the UFC, also in other UFC news, 2 legends of the sport, Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem, were released from the roster after losing their last fights in their respective divisions. This ends their long, decorated careers in the UFC. That's all for now. Back to you, EJ.
Yeah, thanks so much, Adian. Now, over to Ken with some news in the NFL. What's up, Ken?
Thanks, EJ. So just like LeBron did in July 2010, when he announced to the world himself that he'll be taking his talents to Miami, former Houston Texan J.J. Watt announced that he'll be taking his defensive talents to the Arizona Cardinals. On Tuesday, he inked a 2-year contract with the Cardinals that surprised the NFL world. I wish he was going to the Rams, but what can I say? Some contract details include a $12 million signing bonus, $14.5 million base value in year 1, $28 million base over 2 years with a $31 million maximum, and $3 million in incentives based on sacks. So regarding his announcement, Watt said, quote, "We kept it very quiet. There were a lot of rumors and reports. It was funny to sit back and watch it all play out. At the end, when I decided that Arizona was the place, we realized how quiet it had truly been on that front," end quote. There were multiple teams chasing Watt, although he did not get into the details other than referring a couple of times to all reports that came out about his path to a new team. Watt said, The recruiting pitch was strong and heavy, but at the end of the day, I told my wife all signs just kept pointing back here to Arizona, end quote. One thing that was pretty cool to see was that it was on a jet, outside of a jet, with the owner of the Cardinals, and he was like, "Oh, one of the benefits is having a private jet take you around." And I was like, "Well, I guess good job on the Cardinals for that." And then during his press conference Tuesday as a Cardinal, he answered many questions thoroughly. One question was how much he had left in the tank as a 10-year veteran. Watt replied, quote, "A lot, a whole lot," end quote. Back to you, EJ.
Yeah, man, it's pretty awesome news. He'll be joining his former teammate DeAndre Hopkins, who was his teammate over there at Texans. So now he's going to be with Kyler Murray. I think it's going to be a pretty stellar stacked team, offense and defensive teams. They're going to be fun to watch, definitely. So thanks, Ken. Now you're caught up with some sports news that happened this week. And before we get into our discussion, we're going to take a quick break. So don't go anywhere. EBC Sports International will be right back.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back, everyone. Now let's jump right in. It's All-Star Weekend, y'all. The participants for this year's All-Star events have been announced, and LeBron and KD have chosen their rosters last night. Again, this year, all the events will be held on the same day. The skills challenge and the three-point contest to be held before the All-Star game, and then the dunk contest to be held at halftime. Let's talk about predictions on who will take the crown for each event and even the All-Star MVP award. But first, let's start with the skills challenge. The participants are Luka Doncic, Chris Paul, Robert Covington, Domantas Sabonis, Nikola Vucevic, and Julius Randle. So I'm going to go through each of you guys. Let me know your pick to win the event and who's your pick as the dark horse. I'm going to start with you, Adian.
For the finals, I got Julius Randle going head-to-head with Chris Paul, and I think Chris Paul will win it all. He's the only one with true guard-like athleticism and ability, I think. And as a dark horse, I got to go with Sabonis. My man almost made it past Adebayo last year, if I remember correctly. But then Adebayo pulled it off. He won the entire thing. But he's not here this time, so maybe he'll win it.
Good point. But I got to remind everybody, Chris Paul has never won this event. I think this is his 5th time participating, and he's never won the skills challenge, and he's considered to be the point god, right? This is the guy who should have all these skills but has never taken the crown. I think Bam Adebayo took it twice, 2 years in a row, I think, Adian, as you mentioned. But yeah, good picks. How about you, Amin? Who's your pick to win and a potential dark horse for this event?
I mean, on paper, I feel like you said, Chris Paul does have all the skills that you would win this type of contest. It really is like a point guard's event. But I really think Robert Covington holds a lot of those skills as a big man, and I've seen it in his games and things like that. But my dark horse, I would probably have to say Julius Randle. Julius Randle has shown so much improvement in his game, but I think I'm going to give it to Robert Covington.
Okay. That's a dark horse pick to me, Robert Covington. But hey, man,
Chris Paul maybe could be a dark horse, huh? Right?
Yeah, probably because he's never won, right? Right. How about you, Ken? Who's your winner for the event, and who's the dark horse pick?
The only answer here is Luka Doncic, guys. Come on. I mean, the guy has the entire package. I mean, yes, he's not fast, but he's quick, right? I mean, he's still able to get through people, and that's what this is all about. Is about how quick you are, what's your dexterity level, and as far as dexterity, I think Luka Doncic has probably the best in the NBA, and one of the things that he does really well, and I think that's what like other guys who've won this in the past very well, like Damian Lillard, I think he won it twice. And Dwayne Wade, is that you got to be clutch, and at the end of the day, that's probably why CP3 hasn't won this.
Shots fired!
I'm throwing these shots; they're all over the place. I'm starting early tonight, guys. But I mean, Luka Doncic, as you can see, he's a baller and he's a winner, and I think you got to go through like 3 rounds, and I think that as far as like he'll continue to improve with each round. And that last round, head to head, he's gonna go. I'm guessing it's you guys didn't pick this one, but it's gonna be Vucci Maine. Man, I think it's gonna be the Balkans in the final round. Vucci against Luka Doncic.
Wow. Okay. Well, Luka Doncic, a solid pick. He got all the skills, right? And one of the most important parts of the skills challenge is hitting that 3-point jumper. And if you look at who has the best shot out of the field, I think it's got to be Luka Doncic. Maybe Robert Covington, because he did. You
know what he's gonna do? Like, even though no one's gonna guard him, he's gonna jump to the right. Step back on the crossover left, and then hit that jumper.
Hey, it's about rhythm too, right? You got to have rhythm. So
nobody in his face.
I won't be surprised if he does do that. But I'm going to go with Julius Randle as my pick for the winner, and a dark horse would be Luka Doncic. But I think Julius Randle just has that grit. I don't know when's the last time someone from New York represented in the All-Star game. He's an actual All-Star this year, and I think he's excited to have the honors and wants to show out. Right?
Well, Julius has a mastery of the handle too. He has guard skills. He really does. It's just that his team, and usually whatever team he's on, like requires him to shoot. So he shoots, but I mean the guy knows, like, it has the ball under his hand like putty. So
very true. Now, for the 3-point contest, which is my personal favorite, we got some legends, man. We got Stephen Curry, Devin Booker, and then we have 2 guys from Boston, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and rounded off with Zach LaVine and Donovan Mitchell. Again, we're going to do the same thing. Give me your pick for the winner and a potential dark horse. Let's start with you, Ken.
The winner, I would say, has to be, just from percentages of their shooting this year, I'm surprised, honestly, that Joe Harris isn't in this competition. He's the league leader in there's 2 guys shooting over 50%. Bobby Portis, which is weird. He's shooting even 500. But he's only taken 76 shots. And Joe Harris, who's shot 249 and shooting at 506, which is insane. But I have to number 8 on the percentage list is Steph Curry, and he's also number 1 on 3-point made this year. Yes, he can't hit a half-court shot for charities, as you guys remember a couple All-Stars ago. Do you remember that? Where
the Curry family. Yeah,
it was like super random, right? But I mean, if he's prepared, it'll be like 2015 when he won. I think he's gonna have 2 3-point championships under his belt.
Oof. Let's see.
After this Sunday.
All right. How about you, Amin? Who's your pick? Maybe a dark horse.
You know what? This year I'm gonna go with Devin Booker. I really think the kid has something in his rhythm that once he gets going, he's gonna keep going. So I feel like
hold on, a lot of people. Amin. Devin Booker just got replaced by Mike Conley an hour ago.
What?
Breaking news!
Wow! Breaking
news!
Yeah. Okay. So, he's been replaced.
Okay, if D-Book is out, I'm gonna go with Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum also has been performing phenomenally game time, and his rhythm is really great. My dark horse, I'm gonna have to say Zach LaVine. Some people, they know him as a scorer. I don't think they really see. Well, personally, I don't see him as much as a 3-point shooter, or someone who's going to be as consistent on the line as Jason Tatum. But Zach LaVine, I'm going to go with him as my dark horse.
Solid pick. I think he's my favorite to win, Zach LaVine, for the event. But how about you, Adian? Who's your pick to win and a dark horse?
I'm feeling Steph Curry. I feel like he's due for his second three-point competition championship. As a dark horse, though, I'm having a toss-up between Donovan Mitchell and Jaylen Brown. I like Jaylen Brown's form a little better. I don't know if that translates to a better three-point percentage. I have no real reason behind it. I just like the way he shoots.
Hey, man.
Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown should pull off a Larry Bird and keep his warm-ups on.
Oh.
That should be that would be an awesome throwback.
Yeah, him or Jason Tatum should definitely do that. But okay, right. So the last event, the slam dunk contest, Aaron Gordon is not going to be making a return, and I think we can all agree. I think we can all agree that this guy has to be the best contestant to ever participate and not win the trophy, man. But the ones who are participating,
2 years.
are 2 years, are some young ones. The ones who are participating are some young ones, rookies. Cassius Stanley from the Indiana Pacers, Obi Toppin of the New York Knicks, and Anthony Simons, I think it's Simmons, of the Portland Trail Blazers.
I think Anthony is a second year. I remember him playing in the bubble.
Yeah, he's a second year. He's a second year. He's a second year this year, but still young talent and not big names in the league right now. But as we know, this event is where a lot of young stars make a name for themselves. So, do you guys have any thoughts as who's going to be the winner? Adian, how about you?
I got to tell you, this lineup of slam dunk contestants is pretty underwhelming. I would rather have the three-point contest at halftime than this. More eyes should be on the three-point competition because there's superstars playing. No offense to these young guys. I just don't see them having much all-star potential yet. Obi Toppin has the highest chance for that, so maybe he will bring a little bit of excitement. But I don't expect him to be that spectacular in the dunk contest. And the other guy, Anthony Simons, I've seen him put down a few dunks, but a lot of them are just like straight-line drives, just like a simple one-handed slam. I haven't seen him do too much in the air. So the guy I'm most excited about, and I think he's overall the favorite, is Cassius Stanley. He plays for the Pacers right now. He hasn't gotten much playing time. He's spent most of his time actually in the G League, and most of what we've seen from him is actually just high school footage. But man, this guy can jump out of the gym. I feel like he can do the most, and he has the most time in the air to be creative with. So he's my pick right there.
Definitely my pick too, man. And if you guys don't know, he recorded a higher vertical during the draft class, and he was the same draft class as Zion Williamson. He recorded the highest vertical. So Cassius Stanley, watch out. How about you, Ahmed? Are you picking Cassius Stanley, or are you going with someone else?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Cassius Stanley. Looking at the other two contestants, I've never seen them have bounce like that. And it's important in the dunk contest to have that hang time to have enough time and air to do the movement. But yeah, like Adian said, I've all of Anthony's highlights are just like straight straight tomahawks or just quick dunks. I've never seen him get enough air to actually jump up and do anything. So it's to me it's going to be between Cassius and Obi. So yeah.
Definitely. How about you, Ken? You agreeing with all of us? Is it unanimous?
Yeah, well, can I just say how underwhelming this dunk contest roster is?
Where's Zion? Where's Ja Morant?
Right.
Yeah, seriously, bro. Ja Morant needed to be in this.
Yeah, the worst thing out of all this is that this is going to be the only halftime show, right? The other two things are three-point contest and the skills challenge, I believe, are before the game starts.
Yep.
So all the stars are going to be watching this, and we're going to have to watch this. And I love the dunk contest. I know you guys. EJ, you're a fan of three-point contest, but the dunk contest is usually saved for last for a reason, traditionally. You have legends, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Vince Carter, Dominique Wilkins. Usually they play a video, right, of all the legends, doing their dunk contest. And obviously Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. Who are these guys, man? I feel like Obi Toppin is going to eventually be a good player. I really do think so. But dude, Anthony Simons, seriously, the guy does have hang time, and there's a social media hype hashtag for him. I think it's let ant dunk. But that reminds me of a former Laker, Shannon Brown, in the early 2000s when it was let Shannon Brown dunk, and that guy super underwhelmed. And I think that's going to be the case this year with Anthony. Like, I feel like he's going to be underwhelming. I feel like he's going to miss a lot of dunks, and it's going to be very embarrassing. That's my take. But I feel like Obi is my pick, just because even before he came into the league, like that was the hype. And when I see him, like, he has a lot of explosiveness, not as explosive as, let's say, Zion, who's like a 300-pound piece of meat jumping like 50 inches. But at the same time too, I feel like this guy has a couple things under his, like, the weird thing is, it's reported that Obi didn't dunk until the senior year of his high school, which is pretty wild. But I feel like within the last couple of years, I mean, he's 23 now, so what, like the last 5 years, like this guy's developed his dunking game. So I think world watch out, future star Obi.
Okay, hot take. But hey, man, I remember when Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon did the dunk contest, and Snoop Dogg was like, "Who are these guys, man?" And then he retracted that at the end of the thing. So I'm hoping that this would be the same case. But real quick, the All-Star game itself, the two captains, KD and LeBron, they drafted their teams. I just want to know you guys' quick take. If Team Durant or Team LeBron is going to win, and who do you see winning this year's Kobe Bryant All-Star MVP? Ken?
Obviously, it has to be Team LeBron, man. Goodness gracious. Take a look at that lineup. LeBron, Giannis, Steph, Luka, and Jokic. Like, that's literally like all, like 5 MVPs, like right there. And I mean, if you this is the Space Jam 2 lineup.
Seriously.
Honestly, like, these guys are defending the world against the what do you call those? The goons.
The Monstars.
They're
the
gonna,
Monstars.
the Monstars that are coming this Sunday. And so that's what I
The
think.
Goon Squad.
The Goon Squad. Goon Squad against Toon Squad. What's up? No, but I mean, like, this team, like, I feel like it's going to be an extremely entertaining if they play hard. My biggest fear is that these guys might protest because of the fact that they're playing when they don't want to be playing, and it turns into like a Pro Bowl situation. My hope is that they take this seriously. It's hard, especially with Durant not playing and he's a team captain, right? And so that puts you already in a kind of a handicap. And then you have to pick your boy Kyrie first, because you don't want to disrespect the guy that says the world is flat. So you pick him. But I mean, I feel like this is Team LeBron to lose. And I just also want to say the disrespect on the Utah Jazz for being the last two pick, and the fact that LeBron made it even worse by saying, yeah, even when I was growing up, we didn't pick the Utah Jazz in NBA Jam. And I was just like, oh my goodness, bro. Like, you just referred to a video game when you literally could have picked these guys. Yeah, you could have picked these guys at any point, and this is what you did. The psychological warfare that LeBron plays, 4D chess, guys.
All right, so obviously Ken's going Team LeBron. How about you, Amin?
I'm going with Team LeBron. Ken, I mean, he highlighted everything that would make Team LeBron win. Like, he does have all the MVPs. He does have that type of leadership on the floor. Like, especially with having fun. He has that type of charisma about him to be able to put these all-star guys together, play well, and at the same time dominate. With Kevin Durant not playing, that already is like a short end of the stick for Team Durant. But I don't know, like, his choosing process was a little off to me. So I'd be surprised if Team Durant ever came above LeBron's team. But I mean, I don't know if they're filming the next Space Jam during this NBA All-Star weekend. But I mean, if they are, wow, that's pretty smart. But I don't know.
Team
Goon Squad.
Aiden, are you Team LeBron or Goon Squad, man? Someone's got to pick
with the
Durant.
Goon Squad.
Yes.
Goon 1, Goon 2. No, I'm going with Team Durant. I just think they're the team that's going to take this game more seriously. They have more offensively oriented players.
Right.
I say that because Ben Simmons and Rudy Gobert are not on their team. I mean, it's the All-Star game at the end of the day. There's a lot of offensive, like really good offensive players, but I feel like the guys who will take it more seriously are on Team Durant. Therefore, I think they'll win. My pick for MVP has got to be Kyrie Irving because he's got a big chip on his shoulder. For some reason, he wants to beef with LeBron James. He's trying to come at the king.
That's true.
So I think he's going to take the MVP because he just wants it bad. He wants it really bad. And if I have to choose a dark horse MVP, I'm going to go with Brad Beal because he got snubbed last year. This guy wants to go off, man. He wants to go for like 40 every game. He's playing like that every single game of the regular season. I don't see why that's going to stop in the All-Star game.
You know why LeBron is going to be the MVP, guys? Is because Zack Snyder is going to play it that 40 chest himself.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder? You mean Quinn Snyder?
Quinn Snyder. Man, where am I? Zack Snyder, the DC director.
That's the DC director of Justice League.
I'm all over the place. No, but Quinn Snyder is going to keep LeBron there for 48 minutes just so that he can get him tired for the second half. That's my hot take.
Shout out to the pop culture references by Ken here.
I'm all over the place, guys.
All right, well, good all-star talk, good pop reference talk, but we're going to take a quick break, and when we do get back, we're going to have some more NBA talk, so don't go anywhere. This is EBC Sports International.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to thank our help outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. Now, this week, James Harden returned to Houston to face his old team, and even before the game, Rockets Governor Tillman Fertitta said, quote, "James Harden will always be a Rocket. Of course, we will retire his jersey." Harden, although leaving in a diva-like manner, had an amazing 8-year run with the Rockets. He was an 8-time All-Star, of course, won his MVP there, 3-time scoring leader, 1-time assist leader, 2 Western Conference appearances, and never missed the playoffs while he was there. So he is also the Rockets' highest scorer in franchise history, and he will be the 7th Rockets player to have their jersey number retired. Some notable names he joins are Moses Malone, Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, and Yao Ming. Let's take note, guys, that Tracy McGrady never received the honor of having his jersey retired with the Rockets. So, with that being said, what are your thoughts on this? Does Harden deserve to have his jersey number retired? Amin, I'm going to start with you.
I think you already know how I feel about that. But, I mean, not only did Tracy McGrady not have his jersey retired, who's probably one of the top 3 favorite Rocket players of all time for a lot of people, for James Harden to be retired, being and acting the way he did before he left Houston is atrocious to me. I think like James Harden, I think he should go back to Houston, perform well, earn the right to actually retire his jersey, and that could be that. But the way he left, the way he handled everything before he left, especially with his teammates and John Wall, like how do you leave a team like that? Like DeMarcus Cousins, PJ Tucker, John Wall, that's a pretty decent squad, man. And then you bounce just like that, and all of a sudden I can't believe they aren't even talking about retiring his jersey. But I don't agree with it. I think James Harden owes Houston a great season to come back and actually try to work with this team, and I think he owes it to them.
Fair enough. Ken, do you agree? Do you share the same sentiments?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? So if you look at the other guys that had their jerseys retired, Hakeem is obviously the greatest Houston Rocket ever. 17 years, 2 championships, right? And then you have Moses Malone, only 6 years in Houston. Kyle Drexler, only 4 years in Houston. And then Yao Ming, who's had 8 years in Houston. James Harden, 9 years. Started there in 2012 and ended, obviously this year, 2021. So I think that's a solid amount of time for a guy that, led Houston to conference finals, right? Conference finals, at least one.
Two
conference finals, right? So, especially during the stacked Warriors years, if it weren't for the stacked Warriors, then I feel like they could have taken one at least. And so, that's kind of like all those East Coast teams against Jordan's Bulls. What could you do? And the same thing with the Sacramento Kings against the three-peat Lakers, right? And it's kind of tough. And so I feel like the amount of anyone an MVP there. So I feel like that he gave a lot to Houston and continues to give to Houston. He has a restaurant over there, and he also during this crazy freeze of Texas helped guys with donating food, water, and I think plumbing also to the Houstonians. And so he's got a lot of love for Houston, even though, Amin's correct, right? That was not the cleanest breakup. He forced himself out of Houston to get into a stacked New Jersey team. But at the same, not New Jersey, I'm sorry, Brooklyn team. And it's one of those things where it's just it's kind of like Vince Carter with the Raptors, right? You're sour, and there are still a lot of people that are sour in Toronto, but at the same time too, you have to appreciate what the guy gave during his time there, and he gave a lot, and the fact that he still continues to give, I think, should be also a good sentiment to retiring his jersey in Houston.
Fair points. Yes, I definitely think he has the accolades, right? Being the number 1 scorer in franchise history, and we've seen the history that's gone through Houston. Yeah, it's just the way he left that I feel like it's a little bit premature. Plus, he's still in the league. But Adian, how do you feel? Do you think that Harden deserves to have his jersey number retired, or at least talks about having his jersey number retired already?
Yeah, I think so. It's got to be in talks. Maybe it's a little too early. Tillman Fertitta might have said this prematurely, and Houston Rockets fans probably still have a bitter taste in their mouth about how the breakup went. And so I don't think they're ready to put his jersey up into the rafters, just like Raptors fans weren't ready to put Vince Carter's jersey in the rafters right after he left the team. It's going to take time for both sides to heal and for both sides to remember the good times as well. But if you look at just the credentials, I think you got to put James Harden in the Mount Rushmore of greatest all-time Rockets players, right? There's Moses Malone and Hakeem Olajuwon, and I think James Harden is probably above Clyde Drexler and Yao Ming in terms of and MVP and accolades, All-Star appearances, and that type of thing. I mean, Yao Ming made the All-Star game 8 or 9 times, but was he really that deserving? He just had all of China voting for him. I understand this is not going to be a popular opinion with all of China. I understand that, but like Yao Ming was a good player, but he wasn't elite. Let's put it like that. So yeah, I do think he deserves to have his number retired. It just might be a little premature to talk about it right now.
Yeah, and I think I feel a little bit sour. I think it's more because Tracy McGrady didn't get his number retired, right? Like how do you show love to somebody who leaves like that, and already like literally weeks after he left you the way he left you, say, yeah, let's go ahead and let's retire his number, but never even mention Tracy McGrady. Like this guy, 13 points in 33 seconds. Like never seen that again from
I think like player. Like maybe
I don't think it bodes.
I think maybe like 7 or 8 years later, right? When James eventually retires, I think if that were the first time that they announced it, we're retiring James Harden's jersey here, no doubt. Then I don't think that would have been even news, right? But the fact that it was just done like right now, like right after, right before his game, right before his game, and his first return, that's if I were a fan of Houston, which I'm obviously not, I would feel that's a slap to the face because you let this guy leave, and now he's just back in town, and then you say you're going to retire his jersey, which is a huge deal to the city. And so, yes, I understand that, but I mean, absolutely premature, but eventually it's the right decision. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me.
You were
right.
Chirp
That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't fit right. Like the timing of everything just doesn't fit right. Like the dude just bounced on you, and then all of a sudden you're gonna honor him. Like what does that say for other players who would probably do that in the future? If Donovan Mitchell were to bounce to go to to Miami, are you going to retire his jersey just like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Westbrook left.
All the accolades, that's like having your best employee. That's like having your best employee do all these great things and then leave you for another company. And then it's like, well, he did really do good things, but and then you choose to honor him.
He got an MVP, guys. Like an MVP is rare. There's only 2 players in Houston Rockets history that had MVPs. I mean, that's rare company, guys.
That's why I bring up the whole Westbrook thing, right? Westbrook got traded. He got traded, and nobody in Oklahoma has said the first time he comes back, we're going to retire his jersey, even though I would consider Westbrook as the greatest Thunder player ever, right? I mean, I think that's
up there with KD. Up there with KD.
Yeah, but with the way that KD left, let's be real, they're not gonna. They're too proud. Oklahoma's too proud to, even though skills-wise, absolutely. But I mean, Westbrook didn't even force himself out. He was traded.
That's a different. That's the difference in management, though. Like OKC is run really well, and Houston is a mess right now.
Right. Yeah. I agree, but that's what I'm saying is that a properly run place didn't announce that they were going to retire it, and then and then you hear this, and with such a messy breakup, it's just like the fans. Any fan should be mad and should be disturbed at what happened.
Yeah, I think it's just too premature. Again, if he was already retiring, then you announce it. But yeah, I don't think he's deserving at this time and point. I don't think so, but. Let's go on to our next topic. Over the past couple of shows, we've been showing a lot of love to the Utah Jazz and getting the opinions of our panelists on how legit they are. But this week, they were taken down by the leaders of the East, the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid hit a clutch 3-point jumper to force overtime and even got in the head of Donovan Mitchell, so much so he ended up pleading with the refs and eventually got him ejected from the game, man. Embiid ended the game with 40 and 19 rebounds. And according to NBA.com, he's catapulted himself to the #1 spot in the MVP race. First, let's talk about Donovan Mitchell, because after the game, he went off using expletives during his post-game interview, saying the Jazz won this game and said the refs are getting out of hand. Did the Jazz lose, or did the Sixers win this game? Adian, what's your take?
Man, I'm torn. I got to say it's 50-50. The Jazz were up by 3 with 20 seconds to go, and they let that Joel Embiid step back go in. Okay, that's all the Sixers doing their part to win that game. So it goes to overtime. You can't lose your composure as Utah Jazz players, right? Like, you're a small market team. You're going to have a lot of calls that go against you, and you're going to feel some type of way against the refs. But it doesn't mean you get kicked out. Like, that means all the more you got to keep your composure. I was a fan of the 2019 Raptors championship run, and we felt like every call in the seasons before was always against the Raptors. I think it's the same thing for Utah Jazz fans. They always feel like every fan base or all the referees, the league is conspiring against them, so much so that the players believe it now. That's not a good thing, because when the playoffs come, the calls are going to get even tighter, and they're gonna end up, if they end up losing their composure like this, like, that's not going to look good on them. How are they going to be competitive, especially against a guy like LeBron James, who gets every call in his favor? I wasn't happy with how the Jazz handled it in that overtime.
Very fair, very fair. So, Ken, I'm going to ask you, how legit, we talk about how legit the Jazz are, but how legit are the Sixers as championship contenders this year?
Oh, definitely, like 100% legit. I mean, Ben Simmons is making the case for Defensive Player of the Year. This guy has lockdown defense, and that paired with Tobias Harris actually showing up, which I'm actually extremely. I think the main, he is the X factor for me. Joel Embiid is going to give you your 40-20 in the playoffs, and Ben Simmons is going to give you your 20-12, right, assists and 10 rebounds. Who I'm worried about is Tobias Harris. If Tobias Harris can put in a couple 20-point games and consistently in the playoffs, I feel like those guys have what it takes to beat the Brooklyn Nets. However, saying that, the Brooklyn Nets are pretty much the hottest team other than the Suns in the NBA, and KD is on the bench. That is scary to me. And so I feel like they don't even need everyone's fear was like, how are they going to play defense? With this kind of offense, you don't even need a good defense. You just need a serviceable defense. And what they're doing is building up their role players. All these guys out of nowhere, Brown, TLC. I mean, these guys are picking up their games, and it's scary. That's why I say that yes, the Sixers are legit championship contenders, but that's barring injury of any of the Brooklyn Nets big three, and I think that's the main thing.
Of course. Now, can Embiid continue his MVP run, and do you personally see him winning it by the end of this year?
Man, Joel has a very great talent of choking. I think that if Joel continues,
hard.
He has a very big reputation of choking when time comes for him to perform. The step back three was great. I think that once it starts to get a buzz that he's actually in the talks of being an MVP, the pressure is going to be on him. And when pressure comes on to Joel tends to crumble. So he has two options this season. He will either break through that mental block for his MVP run, or he'll just do what Joel does. As Joel does, right? So if he can break through this mental block, which has been hanging over his shoulders for the longest time, ever since he's been like one of the biggest talks in the NBA, then I feel like he'll be able to get through that. And if he can, then congratulations to Joel Embiid for an MVP race. I think that's just bottom line.
Fair, very fair, very fair. Great takes, guys, but it's time for us to blow the whistle and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little NFL and have our EBC question of the week. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
The Filipino is a resilient race. We have weathered unimaginable calamities. But as a nation, we always rise and face new challenges, including the COVID-19 crisis. This week, we will talk about ways to minimize the risks posed to our lives and livelihood during disasters.
we need to understand hazards and risks, whether it be personally, our businesses, our community, our way of living, and even including our mindset. It helps us to go on the second leg, which is to act.
Ms. Maria Teresa Nina Abogado, Senior Manager for Programs and Partnerships of Oxfam Philippines, will share disaster preparedness and where to get access to financial resources and the ability to predict the onset of major and disruptive events in this week's episode of Open for Business.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm EJ Gonzalez from Alexandria, Virginia. And there have been talks since the start of the offseason for some big-name quarterbacks who may be on the move in the NFL. This week, Ben Roethlisberger just re-signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the names who are still trending and haven't yet come to a decision with their respective teams include Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Cam Newton, and Drew Brees, and his retirement decision is still up in the air. So I'm going to ask you guys, which players do you see staying with their team, or which do you see on the move? Ken, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, so Deshaun Watson, I think, is one of the most interesting names, obviously because of the skill. And last year, I think he led the league in yards. It was like over 4,800, right? And 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So, and still with those stats, the record last year, 4-12, absolutely disgusting. And I mean, if I were someone of that level of skill and, just seeing especially how Tom Brady was able to go to the Bucs in his first year, consult with management on how the team's going to be built, and then win a Super Bowl, I would be looking at my team and be like, how come I can't get the same deal, or at least some sort of, I think that's one of the biggest issues with the NFL in general, is that your main guy is your quarterback. That's usually your highest paid player on the roster. And why aren't there better partnerships between the owners, the management, the coaches, and your superstar? I feel like more often than not, the relationships between your star quarterback and management is a lot weaker than it should be. Look at Dak Prescott's situation. That's another, all these guys just don't have, probably the only one that worked out well, but I think is a bad decision for the team is the Pittsburgh Steelers re-upping Ben Roethlisberger. Because, that dude's as washed as they come. But I drift from my point. Deshaun Watson, I feel like, even though he's under contract until 2025, he's gonna pull off another Houston move, like a James Harden, and force his way out of that city. It's one of those things where I think he's too talented to remain in such a bad roster, and there are a ton of teams that I feel he can definitely go on him. One of them being the Washington football team. But yes, I also feel like it's going to be a big ransom, in order to be able to acquire him. Maybe something like what the Rams did, in trading away Goff, and they put up a bunch of their future picks for Stafford, and is it going to be worth it? We'll see in the season. But unlike the Houston Texans, the Rams are win now, but if I were Deshaun Watson, I'd be like, get me in a situation where I can also potentially win now, because you never know. Look at Alex Smith. You never know, how long you can play for, and at any point you can be the best guy on the field, but if you're not on the field because of injuries, then you're not on the team, right?
Yep. Definitely fair point. And then, JJ Watt just left, and ownership had the audacity to say, we're going to keep Deshaun Watson even though he's unhappy. And Deshaun Watson just said, I ain't going to play. I'm not going to play if you keep me, so you better find a move. And I think he's definitely the one, who has to move out from his current situation. I think the others, they can still survive, but Deshaun Watson's got to be one to leave. How about you, Adian? What's your take on the quarterbacks' futures?
It's interesting how the NBA and the trend of star players requesting trades from the teams, that's bleeding into the NFL. You've seen that with guys like Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown from the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Like, guys feel like they deserve to get paid and then they can just not play. Like, that's the ultimate thing you got over your organization. So for quarterbacks who deserve that money, first and foremost, because they're, in charge of running all of the offense and they basically are the success of your team and your organization, they deserve to have a say. So if Houston is ignoring Deshaun Watson, he has all the right to say, I want to get traded, I think. In that sense, I'm very pro player. So he deserves to move. I think he will get moved at some point because you just can't keep an unhappy quarterback on your roster. And if you can get a lot in return for him, man, you got to pull that trigger. I'm a little concerned, though, about the situation with Russell Wilson. Will he get moved? I don't know. Right now, he's being targeted by the Bears. It's reported that they're dropping everything in order to get Russell Wilson. That'll be interesting. We'll see if he moves because he's been pretty loyal to the Seahawks all this time. And it's only been like recent whispers with his wife and everything that he's going to get traded. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, his own PR guy, I think, his agent is the one that released the team that he's is willing to be traded to, which means that these are approved by Russell Wilson himself, which means that he's actually thinking about leaving Seattle.
Yeah,
that was the silliest report, though. The report was like, Russell Wilson doesn't want to get traded, but if he does, he wants to go to this team, and this team.
Which means that, yes, he does want to leave.
Yes, he does.
I mean, what's your take,
man? You saw him in the Super Bowl, right? You saw him in the Super Bowl with Sierra and the commish, just like, why am I not in this situation right now? And that's where I feel like that was the origin of him wanting out of Seattle.
True.
Okay, first I'm going to say, like, I called it with Tom Brady. I called it. He's going to attract all the player pieces to win a championship. Bro. Okay, yeah, it was a month ago, but I've also haven't been here for half a year or something like that. So I have to go on the record with that. Anyway, I think the most disappointing relationship in this past situation with the quarterbacks is Cam Newton and the Patriots. That's one of the biggest things that I was paying attention to during the NFL season. And you can kind of say like Tom Brady was the Patriots, it wasn't Bill Belichick. But I'm surprised that Cam didn't do as well with the Patriots. I thought he was a very talented quarterback, but it's just like Deshaun Watson's situation. If you're not happy where you're working, if you're not happy where you're at, you're not going to play well. And if you have a happy quarterback, you'll have a happy offense. You'll get some wins. Those are the kind of things that I think about with these quarterbacks. Is like, how do you expect to perform well when your owners or your upper management isn't putting you in a winning situation? So if Deshaun Watson wants to bounce, I think the Raiders were really interested in picking up Deshaun. And I don't know if you guys follow the Raiders media guys, but like Raider Cody was like super pro Derek Carr. They didn't want him to leave, and I think they just announced his extension. So I think that if there was a place for like people like Russell Wilson, and if he would have came to Las Vegas, I would have been pretty stoked.
Right, I'd be happy if he came to Washington too.
We already don't have enough. You know what I mean? Yeah. So but.
All right. Well, before we end the show, we got to end with our question of the week. And in connection to All-Star Weekend, this week's question is, what's your favorite pair of sneakers worn by a player during All-Star Weekend? Adian, what's your pick?
Real quickly, I'm not a sneakerhead, but I do have a very nice shoe memory. That was when Shaq brought the big shoe phone to the All-Star Game in 2005. That's my memory.
Great. Amin, what's your pick, bro? Amin.
I've always been a fan of the Kobe's, and the Galaxy 7s. Even though they weren't my favorite ones to play in, they were the ones that always wowed me whenever I saw them. Yeah. And, I'm sorry, EJ, you had to sell yours, but hopefully you find them again.
Yeah, maybe one day. Ken, how about you, man?
Gotta be the Kobe ADs that Bam Adebayo wore last year in tribute to Kobe. For
Nice
sure.
Nice pick. And for me, it has to be Michael Jordan's free throw line dunk shoes, the white cement threes. These are definitely iconic. But anyway, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to tune in again next week, and make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. From Alexandria, Virginia, I'm EJ Gonzalez. We live in interesting times.
Good one.
Ikaw kasi, iiwan mo ako.
With this ring, I promise, babalik ako.
And I promise, hihintayin kita.
Sa bawat pangako ng pag-ibig, may isang pusong umaasa at naghihintay. Subalit, paano kung ang mga alaala ay napawi at pangako'y nalimot? May pagkakataon pa kayang matupad ang pangako at manumbalik ang dating pagmamahalan? Muling magbubukas ang libro para sa panibagong kwento ng pag-ibig. Sa isa na namang teleserye na handog ng Net25. Ikaw ay akin. Sa bawat pangako ng pag-ibig, kung nakalimot man ang isip, ang puso ang magpapaalaala. Binagbibidahan ni na Meg Imperial at Fabio Ide. Ikaw ay akin. Mula sa panulat ni Bing Castro Villanueva, direksyon ni Eduardo Roy Jr. at creative supervision ni Nestor Malgapo Jr. Abangan ang bagong simula March 6, 2021, Saturday, 8 p.m. Dito lamang sa Net25. Ikaw ay akin.
Bagong batch of contenders ang muling magtatagisan sa kantahan ngayong Sabado. Ibig sabihin yan, new batch of talent